Dude, I actually, this is a good thing to start the video on because, right now, for some reason, I don't know what's going on, but I've been getting that, repulsed nausea feeling in my stomach every time I walk up to the front door of the studio.
Oh,
and I think it's because I just see that bird nest out of the corner of my eye. And
you had a lot of experience with that awning.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, I don't do spiders well. I don't do spiders well at all.
You didn't respond to that text even.
What text?
Well, you told me that there was a big one outside, and I just said that I'd been growing it all summer.
Oh, dude. Yeah, no, seriously, I think that one you have outside, did you see it?
She's girthy.
I don't know what kind of spider that is, but it's huge. Its butt is massive.
Probably an orb weaver.
No, dude. It's the orb weaver is the freaking hard tacky one that we smacked over here coming down from the bird's nest. But anyways, all right, so I'm going to show you a couple pictures in a video. So I've been vacuuming out the garage pretty frequently because every few weeks the webs are pretty nasty. And they were so nasty at one point that they were preventing my garage from shutting because they were catching light and blocking the laser.
Okay.
So I looked it up and they're like, yeah, be careful. Those look like, black widow webs. I was like, all right, let me be a man here and clean up the garage and make sure to vacuum all this up. And if I see a widow, I'll suck it up. Dude, black widow, literally the size of like a silver dollar, like a huge one. And I sucked it up and I was like, all right, but now I'm serious about getting this spray down. So I was sucking it up again, but I go and there's this giant spider on the wheel of the vacuum cleaner. And this is pretty macro, but you can see its size compared to the wheel.
Yeah.
And that wheel is it's bigger than a skateboard wheel. It's like a computer chair wheel almost.
It's a big spider.
So I was like, I got to move him or her off before I grab the vacuum. Because if I grab it's a shop vac. If I grab the shop vac and I'm wheeling around and it crawls up, I'll lose my shit.
Yeah.
So I get a pole and I'm like, this thing doesn't look bad. It's like probably a wolf spider of some kind. I looked it up. It's a grass spider. And so I grabbed it and I put it on a web outside. So I'm like, doesn't matter. It's probably big enough. It'll eat whatever this web belongs to. So then I'm grabbing the shop vac and I'm vacuuming things up. Bro, dude, I'm looking at the video right now. I'm going to hand it to you and you can play it. I come out after getting done vacuuming. Look at the size of this widow. And then the size of the spider that it has now tangled up in the web. And this widow was the size of the shop vac wheel. Just tap the screen, it'll play, but...
Oh, she's a big one.
Yeah, isn't that unreal how big that spider is?
She's fast.
So I went back inside and grabbed the shop vac after recording this.
After composing yourself.
Yeah. And I came out and she was gone.
Oh my gosh.
So I told my neighbors grabbed this spider spray that makes them come out of their burrows. And we sprayed it all along the side of the houses at the edge right there on the concrete. And bro, not only did this widow come out, but 3 others.
Oh man.
And I stomped them all. I was having actual gag reflexes.
While they popped under you.
And dude, they're still there. They're still there. They were so big and full of so much goop that they glued themselves in place. It was pretty gross.
Oh
but, man. And if you're a spider lover out there, whatever, you're weird. No, I get it. They do function some stuff. And there are good spiders. There's spiders I let live. I always relocate the jumping spiders. Any of the fuzzy spiders that have like the smiley face on their butt. They got the big eyes. They can grow pretty big if you let them. I always relocate them because they eat other spiders. Their venom, actually, this is a cool thing I learned from a book series. Their venom is completely useless on every other single creature other than arachnids.
Really?
Their venom only affects arachnids. So jumping spiders are great because they'll control your other spiders. But that's a lot of work for a jumping spider to control those widows. And the big thing is, like, I know widows really can't kill people. It's very hard for a black widow bite to actually even, like, most of the time doesn't even kill children or elderly. Elderly and children make up most people who die from widow bites, but even then it's still really rare. You have to have a pretty bad adverse reaction. What doesn't survive black widow bites often? Dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Dogs survive snake bites all the time because their metabolism can handle that venom from a snake. But spider bites, some spider venom for some reason is such a like coagulant on their blood that like it just gives them heart attacks. It gives them blood clots.
And I bet you don't notice. Like lots of times if you see your dog get bit by a snake, you like know.
Yeah.
So you go take care of it. But like
because you see a snake.
Yeah, with a spider bite, you're just like, that could have happened hours ago. You never know. Did that happen?
Well, and dogs don't eat snakes. My dog eats bugs.
Yeah.
My dog loves to eat spiders and bugs and flies. So, and our neighbors have two tiny dogs. And I'm just like, dude, me and my neighbor, he was like, yeah, I'm not going to let, like, I'm not, like, I don't, he's not afraid of spiders, but he's like, I'm not going to risk them biting one of my dogs, my wife crying. Like, not going to do that. So we just stomped them all, and now I'm getting the house sprayed down. So,
have I told you about the weird youth group guy with all the spiders?
Ew.
It was he's not that weird. Just the spider thing was weird, but like it was kind of like he was like college age, living at home, and went to his house. I was like in freshman in high school or 8th grade or something. He had like floor to ceiling, wall to wall terrariums full of spiders. Of all spiders. It looked like a PetSmart wall.
That's the guy.
Spiders.
That's the guy from like those B movie horror films.
Yes.
That like he accidentally knocks one over because he's like trusting one too much and it bites him. And then they all break and shatter, and then they all breed into like a super spider genius, and then like the town gets overrun by super spiders.
Yeah, and it was in his bedroom.
That's disgusting.
He had all sorts of them. He had poisonous ones, whatever. Bird spider, big old, I think it's called a bird spider. Something like, it's giant. You can eat a bird.
Yeah, the bird tarantula.
Yeah.
See, those also don't bother me.
But I don't want to sleep next to it.
Yeah, that's true. I would lose my shit if like it was crawling on me in the middle of the night. I probably need psychiatric help. Like I think I would be so unnerved, dude.
It's like in Home Alone. The scene with the spider on the guy's face, it starts crawling. That was just for real pure terror. They told him it was going to be fake.
Did they?
They told him it was going to be fake, and they dropped the real one on him, and he just...
You're lying.
No, that's
There's like
real.
a behind-the-scenes thing?
Yeah, and he just... it crawls, across his face like that, and he's just screaming, and... yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways. It's October.
It is.
It's, and by the time this releases, it'll probably be mid-October, maybe even close to Halloween, but it's it's the unsettling season. You know, it's the season to be kind of spooked out a little bit. And, you know, I think there's a very fine line in, we talk about this, I feel like every year when we like go over like a murder thing and around Halloween, there's a very fine line, I think, between like the glorification of these crimes and then like the actual like criminal psychology analysis or body cam analysis, right? Things like that. And you know, sometimes I rag on true crime podcasts and stuff like that because it really feels like they're really glorifying what, you know, someone did, and it might encourage other psychotic people to do something similar, right? I don't hold those crime podcasts responsible like for other people's actions. But again, it's just like one of those things like, there's a fine line to walk between like, capitalizing on someone else's suffering and a criminal versus like providing a true, valuable, educational analysis. And I say that too because I watched a ton of them when I was, sheriff deputy as well, just to like break down, body cam footage and like what officers should have done or what detectives, looked for and things like that. And I think this one is honestly the first one, and I guess I don't go watching these often, but this is the first one that is a like paranormal like observation of a of body cam footage that I've seen that I felt like wasn't just like top 5 ghosts caught on body cam, and so this is by a YouTuber of the name of let me check it one more time, Bob Gimlin. Now, and I'm giving credit because I think Bob does an exquisite job here of not feeding into or not capitalizing and like he murdered his wife and kids and now their ghosts haunt the place. Like it's very analytical, and even he says, he's like, I really don't believe in any paranormal stuff, but I cannot deny some very strange, surreal stuff that happened that was caught on camera that in hindsight is like, it makes you want to rub your head and like pull your hair out and just be like, that is crazy. It was very chilling when I watched it, and I thought he did such a good job that I wanted to share it with you. And I was like, well, why not just kind of share it with whoever's listening? Because most of the content in this is things that the actual investigators of the home recorded on body cam, and the audio picked up, and you can tell it's not just a glitch in the audio because the investigators get unsettled when they hear these things. And you can see in their body language they're actually really disturbed by some of the stuff they're hearing in the house. And I also think it's kind of relevant to you and I because this was something like that happened in our state in Colorado, and it was a pretty big case. And it went on it didn't go on for years. Like he was sentenced pretty quick. But this is the case of Chris Watts, and there'll be some background here provided in the video. But essentially Chris Watts, I'm not entirely familiar on like what ended up being his like plea and why he said he did it. I know there's documentaries out there that have claimed like it was because his mistress that he was having an affair with told him he should like do it so they can start over. And then there's been like other stuff that he said apparently, which again, this is where I kind of get like, I don't know if I really approve of this, but like people who are writing books about the case, reaching out to him, he's writing to them from prison saying like, yeah, it was like demonic stuff. Yeah. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't in control of myself. And it's like, from what I know, none of that was in the trial as like case evidence or anything like that. Like, an insanity plea. Right. But like, it seems like he's leaning into that now, possibly for an excuse or justification, as well as maybe for some celebrity around his own actions. So all that said, I don't know if I kind of denounce that stuff, but this doesn't even really dwell on that. Like this guy, Bob makes like some mentions of like things Chris has written to people and what's been in some of those documentaries, but he certainly doesn't like overall endorse it, which is why I kind of appreciated it. He just kind of uses it as a basis to like support some of the weird things that happened in the body cam footage. So all that said, we'll get started. Again, Bob Gimlin, check him out on YouTube. He's got great stuff. He's a growing YouTube channel. I mean, he's got more subscribers than us, but if you kind of like what he's doing here, he does some other kind of things. Like he has a couple Bigfoot videos that, again, I think were really grounded.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he believes in Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he does. Maybe he said, I believe in Bigfoot, and I just missed it in the video. But, like, it's one of those things, like, he takes a very skeptic approach and just kind of lets footage and audio play out, and then he kind of tries to analyze it. But here we go.
Before getting into the meat of this video, some context is required. Family annihilator Chris Watts murdered his pregnant wife and then put her body into the bed of his truck as his two daughters, Bella and Cece, watched. He then situated Bella and Cece into the back seat and drove them to a remote stretch of desert that he was familiar with due to his employment with Anadarko Petroleum. He unloaded his deceased wife as his daughters remained in the cab. Shanann's body would not fit through the small opening to the oil tank, so Chris dug a shallow grave, and Bella and Cece watched their father bury their mother and unborn brother, who was to be named Nico Lee.
So
he then
normal.
smothered Cece with a blanket in the back seat. Bella was right beside her, and she didn't really know what was going on. Family annihilator Chris Watts then shoved Cece's body into the oil tank, and then he returned to the truck, where Bella asked if he was going to do the same thing to her as he had just done to Cece. And he didn't answer her, he just did it.
First and foremost, very unsettling. How do we know this? From what I understand, this is part of what was in trial. Like, part of his confession is like, I had buried her. After I was done burying her, I went, smothered my daughter. After I put her in the oil tank, I smothered my other daughter, put her in. And I didn't say anything to him the whole time. And it's just like, okay. The reason that's important is because of certain things that happen on regarding, like, the oil tanks and stuff like that.
After disposing of his family, Chris went to work, but his wife Shanann was supposed to be driven to a doctor's appointment by her neighbor Nicole Atkinson. When Nicole couldn't get a hold of Shanann, she called Chris Watts. Not satisfied with his response, Nicole called the police for a welfare check.
Good
and once
neighbor.
the police called Chris,
Be like,
he was suddenly
that's not
concerned,
making sense.
but not concerned enough to allow the responding officer access to his house without being there himself, which likely would have been a red flag, considering that his pregnant wife already had health concerns, had missed an appointment, and could not be reached. When he finally arrived home, he conspicuously entered through the garage, leaving Nicole and the police officer to wait for nearly 2 minutes before he opened the front door. After searching the Watts house and discovering Shanann's medication and cell phone, Nicole Atkinson invited Watts and the responding officer to the home she shared with Nathan Trenistich to watch their security footage, which, unbeknownst to Chris, had a view of his driveway.
So, Chris, for people who are listening and not watching the footage right now, Chris is now at his neighbor's house because his house is empty. He's saying he doesn't know where his wife and daughters are, and that's kind of the alibi he's following, right? But then his wife is like, well, we have a security cam. Maybe we can see them leaving if they left or who they went with. So Chris, now trying to, like, not look suspicious, is like, oh yeah, let's go check that out. And he's here and he sees for the first time, he's like, oh my gosh, this security camera from my neighbor's house is looking right at my pickup truck in the driveway. As I backed it up and essentially loaded up my wife and kids.
And his body language showing it right away.
Oh yeah. Smoke break.
Smoke break.
Hey Ken, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you can put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three-Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick and Pat show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution.
Based on Chris's body language while watching the footage, it is safe to assume that he thought it was over then and there, seeing as he knew that he'd been recorded loading his family into his truck as if they were produce. And had this been noticed, he certainly would have been arrested. However, Chris had kept to the side of the truck opposite to the camera. What was obvious to him was not obvious to the observers. And despite his anxieties, the footage appears innocuous to those without the gift of hindsight. Ironically, it was Chris's response to the footage that was almost as damning as had it showed what he feared it did. Strange to think that Nicole Atkinson and Nathan Trinistich are likely already aware that the man in their living room just murdered the entirety of his family. Okay, that was all context. However, this video is not about the crimes of Chris Watts, nor is it about his catastrophically deficient attempt to conceal them, for that is the realm of true crime, which this channel is not, and Chris Watts' content is cornucopian in magnitude. This video is about the alleged paranormal events related to the Watts murders, and even the most strict skeptic must concede that chance alone seems insufficient in describing some of the aberrations that occur here, the first of which occurs immediately where I left off. You're about to see, in my opinion, one of the most incredible moments ever caught on body cam. It is so awe-inspiring and magnificent that no genre exists to adequately classify it.
So again, they're watching the video. It's at a different time of day when they're recording the footage. This is likely they're just still like, okay, well, let's see if they left this morning at some time.
Yeah, I thought
The
nothing.
neighbor, he is trying to get the camera footage to play back and work, and it disconnects. And as it disconnects, the TV just goes back to what was playing previously, and it's currently a commercial for the National Geographic channel.
Nothing for the rest of the day.
Oh, that's it. She's pregnant as well.
How far along?
14, 15 months.
The app that Nathan Trinistich is using to show his security footage crashes, and up comes a commercial for a National Geographic program. And you can see how badly Chris wants to get out of there, but the sight of a fetus in the womb reclaims his attention. He killed one of those approximately 6 hours prior to this moment. The depiction of the unborn proves so unsettling and surreal to Watts that it prompts him to make a guilty utterance.
She's pregnant as well.
She's pregnant as well. Once satisfied that it had coerced an admission out of him, fate moved on to show a small festering flame that abruptly explodes into a mushroom cloud of fire and devastation, perhaps summarizing what he had just done to his life. The television then goes on to show a masked face rising from a pool of petroleum, only to disintegrate into a skull bathed in crude oil. And it's at this point that he actually turns his back to the TV. He literally faces as opposite to the screen as he can without making direct eye contact with the cop, and he will stay there until the second the commercial ends.
Dude,
That was wild.
so he not only has killed his wife and 2 born children, but his wife was pregnant with what would have been their son. And so when the security camera footage cuts out, it immediately somehow goes into a commercial showing this generated image of a fetus in the womb that then is somehow going into like an explosion from the ground, which then turns into this skull rising out of crude oil and being pulled down. That is mind-boggling to me.
It's
Like,
wild.
How can the things line up? Like, if that's not a pre-recorded program, and of course no one knows what he's done yet, so there's no way anyone here has the ability to like set that up to be the thing playing in the background. You know, it's just insane, like, coincidence. But like, you know, if you lean into it, you're like, dude, this might be Providence, dude. This might be like borderline like spiritual stuff going on to like convict this dude and like press upon him what he's done and like essentially unsettle him to the point where they can get a confession out of him.
Yeah.
And maybe there was low volume that Chris heard to indicate that the commercial ended, but he does not face the TV again until it's over. Put yourself into the shoes of this despicable monster. You have just murdered your wife and unborn son before doing the same to your daughters aged 3 and 4, and then shoved them into an oil silo, the opening of which was too small for them to fit comfortably. But you were unaware that your wife had a doctor's appointment. The time you had allotted to come up with a story and clean up is gone. And a mere 6 or 7 hours after doing the abominable deed, with 0 hours of sleep, you find yourself watching a police officer who is watching footage of you load your family into your truck as if they're bags of junk bound for Goodwill. Then the app crashes, offering a brief respite from the terror you've put yourself in. Except there's no respite at all, because it's showing your deed in a far more dramatic way. A fetus and a human skull disintegrating into a pit of petrol. Objectively speaking, of course. This is just a coincidence. But how do I phrase this? I feel like if I looked through TV programming for 100 years straight, I would not have been able to find a more perfect and fitting 9.7 seconds of footage to show Chris Watts at that exact moment in time than Nathan Trinistech's TV did due to a glitch. I'm not saying this came from beyond the grave or from above the clouds, but damn, I'm hard-pressed to think of a greater or better timed act of coincidence. Okay, moving on.
So I'm gonna skip forward a little bit to some things that are later on in the video where the investigators are at the house with a dog, and I don't know if the dog's looking for like weapons or drugs or the scent of to like try to find the like children and the wife, because I think at this point they still believe that they're missing. They don't know they're actually been murdered. But the time frame here is 6:46 in the video, where the investigators are now in, and you're gonna start hearing things. And I genuinely think like this is some of the most unsettling stuff, because at first I heard it and I was like, oh, that's just a glitch sound or the sound of like objects being moved in the house. Like you can't really see like what the officer's feet are kicking, what the dog's knocking over with its tail or whatever, right? But then the investigators respond to it, and their reaction is very unsettled.
And Searcher thinks you're guilty in the first 13 seconds. Now, you probably didn't see it, and I'll be honest, I don't really see it either. But many viewers claim to see what looks like a child looking through the balusters. I see something, but I don't know. Considering the context of the situation and the nature of this video,
I think that's
would
just
be
a
remiss
shadow
to not
effort. Like,
mention it
I
if
think
there
that's
is
just a
literally
shadow.
anything to the archaic phenomena known as ghosts, a notion that very well may predate humanity itself, then this place is certainly a premium candidate to host them. And this assertion is supported when the crew searches Shannon's walk-in closet. And I'll have you know that I tried my absolute best to reduce the ambient noise and amplify the subject without losing quality.
Yes.
That was it.
Did you hear that?
Let's watch the rest.
Go in there and step on that little blue thing and see if that's where that noise came from.
Yeah, it sounded like a kid toy.
It sort of sounds like it.
Something. I heard it.
That one, did you hear it?
I did.
Sounded like a kid giggling or something, didn't it? Or a kid.
It did.
So again, for people who are just listening, they're at the walk-in closet, and the investigator holding the canine barely steps foot into the closet when there's this distinct childlike giggle sound. And you immediately see her head turn and pitch to like the direction of the sound. And it's all just shoes on the shoe rack. And it's so much so that she steps out of it and won't go in the closet. And I think for the rest of the footage, she doesn't go in.
It freaked her out.
It freaked her out so much. And the other detective is just confirming like, yep, I heard that too. I think, yeah, it did sound like a kid giggling.
All he did was go straight in there.
It sounds like the elder of the two women is legitimately unsettled, so much so that she will not re-enter the room. Now, I can't find out much about this woman, and I don't really want to because I don't want to invade her privacy, but you'd think it would be difficult to rattle a career canine handler. It's safe to assume that she has dealt with some awful situations and equally awful sights.
I'm going to skip forward a little bit because now he's just analyzing their voices and like how verbally they seem kind of shook and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one here when they're downstairs, and I know he boosts the audio for it. Let me go back.
And by the way, we're going to throw this up on YouTube, so if you want to follow along and see what we're seeing, you can see kind of this video as we're breaking it down, and you can see everything that Mick's throwing up as we're talking about it. But man, the little chuckle that did look like a girl or like a ghostly girl in the banister. There's also there's a second set of blinds back behind it, that can make that shadow.
But it does look like someone going up the stairs. But then
Yeah.
it could just be like, well, that's just the way the camera is. Like the body cam footage isn't high quality,
Right.
so it really could just be the shadow
Mm-hmm.
of the railing
banister,
behind it.
the railing behind it,
Yeah.
and the curtains behind it,
Yeah.
all passing through.
But here, there's this one too. So this is at the 10-minute mark when there's this other sound while they're looking around in the downstairs. Not the downstairs, but like the main level.
Alleged EVPs, and I'll play many of them. But I'm mentioning this first one explicitly to debunk it, which I very rarely do. But there's been a bunch of buzz about it, and I don't think it's anything whatsoever. So when they're in the foyer, there's an EVP. And I hate that I know this from all the research I've been doing on this terrible case, but it doesn't even sound like Shannon. And then it's said that you can see Shannon in the mirror, and I don't think this is so. See how the figure backs off with the camera? I think it's likely this was just one of the many people in the house making a noise. As you can see, the room is quite lofty, ironically because there's no loft, but it's echoey no doubt. And then the person wearing the body cam captured herself on camera. Is it spooky looking? Absolutely. But spooky looking does not paranormal make. Okay.
Yeah, so that one I wanted to specify too, just because I'm like, it gives credit that, Bob isn't just trying to psych us up, and he's not trying to like use everything possible. Like, he's using logic and reason to deduce, like, because that's the exact same conclusion I come to. And I think that like sound of the woman kind of gasping is the canine handler
saying no to the dog or something.
Yep.
Now that I got that one out of the way, numerous other examples of EVP were said to have been captured. And real or not, they are creepy as all hell, and even rather heartbreaking. I won't be spending much time on them. I could likely make a whole 40-minute video just on these EVPs, but this is by no means a testable or constant setting. So I'm just going to play each one several times, a few times without the alleged meaning, and then a few times with.
There's plenty of first ender here. There's plenty of first ender here. There's plenty of first ender here.
Let me see if I can get this up a little bit louder, even because it is so quiet, but it does sound like a child, like muffled, saying "mom."
Mm-hmm. I can boost it up in our ears too.
I'm gonna turn down our background synth waves a little bit, just so that way it's a little bit quieter. All right, so here it is.
And then a few times with.
There's plenty of first ender here. 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 There's plenty of first ender here.
I don't care how rational or empirical you are, this next one is pretty chilling. Any guesses?
Do you have a guess?
Is it this sound? Or I don't know. I can't tell.
It sounds like
Uh-huh.
at first I was like, I don't think so. Like,
It's
I don't
the
think it's
lady.
anything. It's the
Yeah.
lady. Then he puts the text to it, and then I can't not hear what the text is saying.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
I'm with Cece. Cece, the youngest daughter.
Mm-hmm. That is one of those, once you see the text with it, you can't unhear it.
It could be totally just a brain thing, right? With
Mhm.
like once the text is on the screen, you're like, oh, that does sound like a very whispered, hushed voice saying, I'm with Cece.
Mm-hmm.
Super unsettling. And it could be, again, I think Occam's razor. What's the most reasonable thing? The investigator wearing the body cam is muttering something under her breath.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's saying, I'm with Cece. I think
Mhm.
she's just muttering like, what do I see? Maybe something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, again, like hard to describe, like hard to explain a little bit, in the surrounding of everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And that when the text says, this is our home. And I'm like, again, this sounds to me more like they're whispering something hushed on their breath
Mhm.
while looking and investigating.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the investigator saying like, what's going on in this home? And again, like when you're saying that stuff to yourself, investigating things, looking for clues,
Mm-hmm.
you do a lot of self-therapy to try to keep your brain from being distracted by things that aren't important.
Mm-hmm.
And only assessing like what is of value at the scene. And so here, I think it could easily be the investigator saying something along those lines. And just the last little bit is vocalized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just the way when you're like working on something and you're not entirely aware you might be speaking out loud.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking for something in the garage and you're looking for the ruler or you're looking for your T-square. You're like, where's that T-square? But really what you say out loud under your breath is T-square.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't want to, again, I want to use Occam's razor, right? But it
Mhm.
is super unsettling to me.
To be honest, these were more otherworldly than I was expecting, but I'm a person who talks to myself, especially when I'm working, and especially when I'm working with my animal, which of course is precisely what the searchers were doing. So no matter how authentically ethereal these captures may sound, there is no pragmatic reason to suspect that they are anything other than the searchers' murmurings. But the high strangeness here is not confined to cryptic camera captures of audio and visual. On September 21st of 2018, 39 days after the annihilation and 37 days after Chris Watts's cringy confession and most deserved arrest, Fredericksburg police receive a call from Shanann's mother, who said she received a text from an unknown number. The text, weirdly enough, said that the back door to her deceased daughter's home was open. And weirdly enough again, whoever texted her that wouldn't respond. Now, body cam footage of this was not released, but police went to the house in the light of day, and they found the back storm door open, but the actual door that admits entry was locked. Stranger yet, it's mentioned in the Weld County DA office's discovery documents that the lights in the garage were not on when police arrived, but turned on at some point while they were checking the perimeter. On this occasion, the police didn't enter the house or attached garage, claiming they had no reason to suspect anyone was inside. Which is odd considering that they saw a light turn on while they were literally there, but maybe it was motion activated, and the person who texted Shanann's mother with that condescending tidbit was never identified. And seriously, what is up with that? Sandra Ruchek had just lost her daughter and 3 grandchildren a month ago, and someone wants to tell her that the storm door is open on the house, which, by the way, is not something anyone should know unless they're up to no good. Anyhow, that wasn't the end of the strangeness on September 21st, for police would return that night. See, Nathaniel Trinistich called Shanann's father to tell him that his security footage captured video of a shadowy woman entering the Watts residence at 9 a.m. and never leaving. I want to mention this because so many channels here on YouTube get this wrong. They say that Nate saw or recorded the woman enter the house that night. But I read the discovery documents, and that's not what happened. Nate didn't get a chance to look at his security footage until that night. The footage of the woman entering the house is from around 9 a.m., and that security cam footage was never released. Also noted was that a black SUV slowly passed the house several times throughout the day, but never stopped, and no one was ever seen entering or exiting the vehicle, so it's unknown if it's related to the shadowy woman, the woman with dark hair. So many questions. So many questions. Why text someone that a storm door is open? Some people...
So I'm going to skip ahead again a little bit more, but just for context to shadowy woman with dark hair, I mean, it's at nighttime. Everyone looks shadowed at nighttime, but Chris Watts's mistress had long black hair. And so a lot of people think it's her going there to try to make sure like there's nothing to tie her to anything. Kind of wondering too, like, though, pretty late to be doing that in the like actual case, right? Because like this is well over 30 days after Chris has been arrested and charged. But the police get called again to go and investigate the home. And here, so at 15:45, he has a photo of Nicole Kessinger, who was the mistress. And there's a question of, you know, who was it that went in, and the police respond to go make sure no one's in the home, right? Because the home still technically is a crime scene. And I believe at this point it wasn't listed for sale again. Yeah, it was, so it was still being like part of the investigation. So at 16:15, we're resuming here.
The police, and he gave the police the house's access code. Seeing as now they had strong reason to suggest that someone had entered the house, they went inside, whereas that morning they had merely made sure the area was secure. Yet another anomaly is that the police triggered the house's security system in the garage. Yet Shanann's father, who was the last person in the house, was quite certain that he did not engage the security system when he was there last, and I don't blame him. Nothing there was worth protecting anymore. But that begs the question, what kind of intruder would activate the security system? When the police arrived, the garage lights were on. Ostensibly, they'd been on ever since they turned on the last time the police were there. And
just a note for anyone, again, who's listening and want to look at this later, this is body cam footage again. This is body cam footage on the 4 officers going into the home to clear it and make sure no one's there.
To me, this rules out some kind of motion sensing device. If they turn on by motion, then they turn off automatically. So who turns lights on in a house they weren't supposed to be in, as police were actively searching the perimeter? And if someone was in the house who wasn't supposed to be, why would they text Shanann's mother to tell her that they could get in? Who would anonymously text a grieving mother to tell her that her deceased daughter's storm door is open, and then not respond to further follow-up? Did whoever it was mean that the back door was open, and then he or she locked it themselves? And who was the shadowy woman captured entering the house, and how and why was she never captured leaving? Well, these are only a few reasons that may explain why the 5 police officers are a bit jumpy as they make entry at 11 p.m. on Friday, September 21st of 2018.
Also, when I was watching this, I was like, damn, like, not a great example of how to make entry into a home that, like, you're trying to secure and make sure there's no, like, trespassers. You should at least have 1 officer, if not 2 officers, going around back to that storm door, and 1 posted up just outside to make sure no one dips out of you and goes out the front door. But they all 5 of them are just going in through the front door. I'm like, that's not smart. Like, talk about funnel of death if someone meant harm. Yeah, it's scary.
It's scary. So they're packing in. It's like, bro, this is scary.
Yeah.
Now this footage,
which, you know, to your point too, Pat, like, this is one of those things that is like, we really don't see in the real world. It is not often we see police supernaturally, like, fearful, right? Like, these are officers who are spooked. These are not officers who are afraid because they're in danger and they might encounter a very violent, dangerous individual, right? They're like, this is spooky.
You can tell these guys look. Yeah, it looks like,
they're all hiding behind each other.
Yeah,
like they're peeking out over each other's shoulder.
And I bet they don't look like that with a bad guy.
Yeah,
like these specific guys. I bet they don't look like that with a bad guy, but they're creeped out.
Yeah.
2 is rife with alleged EVPs, but in my opinion, it's just the officers talking to each other from far away, or talking to themselves. That being said, There are a couple of clips that I find rather intriguing, and it's at the top of the stairs where the first alleged apparition was captured. There seems to be a child peeking out from behind a police officer, and my first thought was, are you joking? But the more you look at it, it's kind of hard to make sense of. And I'll scrub the whole little sequence. There are 5 officers in the house at the time, and I believe 4 of them are upstairs. And this very well could simply be one of them standing behind the one we can see clearly. But it does at least appear childlike in stature, and it almost seems to be wearing a dress of some kind. This is not the kind of thing I'd bet money on, but given the gravity of the situation, I think it's interesting. All the popular ghost footage breakdown channels showed this, right here, as the apparition at the stairs. If I had to say there was an apparition at all, I'd probably pick this. About 30 seconds later, again, it very well could be just another officer, or a shadow, but it doesn't look good. Not one little bit. This is not at all what you want to see in your house. Whispering filth to your husband.
Yeah.
Obvious.
Well, it's one of those things like, to me, I get what he's saying. I still think it's just one of the officers upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's just an officer further upstairs that is like,
or a shadow from the other room,
Yeah.
a shadow of the officer on the back wall. And that's why, because it kind of comes in and out and disappears.
mm-hmm.
But if there's a guy standing around the corner and there's a light on,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be shining on that back hallway and
Yep.
popping in and out.
Yeah. Well,
I still have my neck hairs are standing up right now, though. It's creepy.
and I actually disagree with what you just said, though, because we see the officer on the stairs shadow. He's backlit from the shadows drop lighting,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So really the shadows would be that soft. And so we wouldn't have a shadow darker than that
Mm-hmm.
against the wall upstairs where you have that overhead light. The
Mhm.
overhead light would be washing it out onto the floor, and it'd be like as soft as the officers on the stairs.
Mm.
So I think it's another officer, but I think lighting wise, you could say like it's not a shadow. So it's pretty sus.
Obviously, I'm not a policeman, but I have watched a ridiculous amount of body cam footage, and these officers seem far more on edge than officers in far more hairy situations than this. And I don't mean that as an insult.
Yeah, dude, they're all
When they're
guns
clearing
out.
the dining room, some people claim that you can make out an apparition sitting in one of the chairs. Again, I see something, but I don't know. The figure's at the top of the stairs, and this, what at least looks like a semi-translucent pillar of something, across the chair to the right. They're strange, but surely not as strange as a shadowy woman recorded entering the house and never leaving. The 5-bedroom and 4-bathroom house was taken by the bank in 2018 and then sold to the Millers in 2022 for $600K, which was $60K below asking price. The Millers have 2 little girls, and their youngest is a little boy. The new buyers were criticized by internet voices for evidently mirroring the Watts family.
So I think after that, it's now all just kind of conversation about the drama around what the next family experienced. They only lived in the house for like a year, and they had several calls to the police department for domestic violence. So it's kind of like one of those things of like very Amityville horror-esque almost, of like the next family to move in kind of suffering from the same things.
Mhm.
And then they moved out, sold the house. But it is a very unsettling story. And I think, the really main thing that like really unsettled me was the actual commercial. Like that commercial still unsettles me. Like I
Mhm.
still believe that has to be the most unsettling part of the whole thing, because you're talking about like what are the odds that such a accurate commercial would pop up right in the moment there. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And you can see how it just immediately crawls under the skin of Chris Watts and disturbs him. So anyways, that's what I really want to share with you and
Mhm.
show you that, and like, share with others to take out and take a look into, because it's one of those things that I, believing in a higher power, right? Personally believe, like, I do believe there are things that happen, that are not necessarily God intervening in a way that disposes of an individual's free will. But there are certain things that I believe happen for sure that are borderline divine intervention that are wholly tied to what I call conviction, and like primarily conviction of the Holy Spirit, conviction of right or wrong. And I think like when I see stuff like that, I'm like, dude, that is like conviction manifest to like convict someone who has done this heinous, awful thing, and keep them from being able to lie and disguise, you know, the lies around this situation. But all that said, I was thinking about it too, and I was like, you know, I don't really know Pat's point of view on stuff. Like, I don't know your perspective on ghosts and spirits and things like that. And I'm very interested to hear what that is.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in the supernatural.
Well, of course.
For sure, right?
Yeah.
So that means, like, I was talking with someone the other day about this, because especially with Christians, lots of Christians would say, "Do you believe in aliens?" You're like, absolutely not. It's not biblical to believe in aliens. Okay. Well, then what's an angel?
Sure. What's a demon?
Those are aliens. By definition. Like, they're otherworld. They're not from here, right? So then you do believe in aliens of some, maybe not the green men, but you do. So it's like, just by default, you have to accept that you are open to like other things. And it's like ghosts, things like, when it comes to ghosts,
I'll say this: I do have a devil's advocacy argument already prepared
for just whatever I say.
Yeah, like, because I've thought about it enough to think about like what I would counter with on either side of it.
Yeah. I mean, you have, even in the Bible, you have where there's where Saul goes and to like a necromancer type thing and
summon Samuel.
And speaks with him, right? Things like that. So you have
like legit summon Samuel, and Samuel does like the classic like, "Saul, why have you disturbed me?" Yeah,
exactly. And so it's like, in a sense, yes, I believe in ghosts, but maybe not in the traditional, or maybe not in the sense of like the like Ghostbusters, or like, you know, or
like maybe they're not like
or ghost hunters, you know,
they're not like trapped here on Earth wandering,
right? And so you have so many stories over history of time of, you know, people saying, "I was sitting there and the cereal box not only dumped over, it lifted up and then dumped over," like that sort of thing. You know, and you're like, well, Uncle Ricky, how was your medication doing that day? You know, it typically seems to follow, in general, people have other things going on with them, which the other argument would be, well, then certain people like that are more opened up to like the spiritual realm, things around them, they're more sensitive to those things. I believe in demonic possession. You know, so I think that, but when it comes to, you know, the girl in a dress, shadowy, walking by, I don't know. I don't have a good answer.
Yeah. I think you actually used the exact devil's advocate argument I was going to use for, you said you didn't believe in ghosts. I was going to be like, well, you know, biblically speaking, we know of one ghost, but
Holy Ghost.
Well, I was going to say Samuel, but no, I totally think like I agree as well. There is though there is some verses that I remember reading, and again, I'm not trying to make the biblical case for like, you know, certain supernatural phenomenon, but there are certain verses that I've seen used as like why someone who has died, which if you're a Christian, and you know, I'm not going to get into the different sects of Christianity, but predominantly it's that, hey, when you die, you close your eyes here, you open your eyes somewhere else.
Right.
You're either in heaven or you're not. And with that, there is still, though, verses alluding to things that aren't angels and like known as like it just really reference spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that there's reason to believe that the supernatural part of a human, the soul, I think it has weight. And I think there's things that can remain. And one example I used for this that I think is like no one really argues is Ground Zero from 9/11. Did you ever get to go to Ground Zero or anything like before it was built into memorial?
I went there when I was 13. They were working on the memorial then.
Yeah. Okay. Do you remember anything like distinct about that? Like, was there anything that like stuck in your mind about that experience? Because I went when I was in like 5th grade, and it was one of the most memorable experiences that I've ever had. But I'm curious to hear from you if there's anything that you specifically feel like stood out.
I'm trying to remember because it was I was 13. I was on a art trip.
Nice.
And my ass had been whipped by just art, bad art for days on end.
Yeah.
So this part of the trip, nothing really stood out to me. I remember it's like, man, that's a big old hole in the ground they're working on. When they had it all.
was huge hole.
That's like
crazy how deep
point,
it
I
went.
just was like, that's a big old hole.
Was it still fenced off?
It was not fenced off then.
Gotcha. Okay. When I went, it was all fenced off, and there was a temporary slab with the names of everyone who had died. And man, I kid you not, it felt like I was in New York one moment, and then when I crossed the street and stood there on the sidewalk, there was this guy talking. He wasn't a street preacher. He was, I think, a family member of someone who had died, or multiple people who had died during 9/11. And he was talking with so much emotional conviction about how this slab did include the people who weren't just in the towers, but like it didn't include like just everyday folk who died that day trying to help people and stuff like that. And he's like, this slab will only tell you 3,000 some names, but there's another 2,000 that were murdered that day because of the evil acts that occurred. And it was silent. And I mean, it was easily several dozen people on that side just around him listening as he spoke about like all these different events and other things that happened and the other damage of the city that occurred. And I've heard from more people who have been to New York several times since then about the spiritual impact of being there and like feeling like you're on hallowed ground. And there's a really weird thing that was studying, if I remember correctly, it was monitoring the electronic wavelengths in the atmosphere during, and it's just always doing that. It's always monitoring, and it's just part of a program for NASA or something like that. But when the towers fell, there was an insane disruption on like a ton of the wavelengths, and it like actually rippled across the globe. And it was, and like that wavelength is often referenced as like the wavelength from the human mind, and like just legitimately like not a spiritual thing, but just like electronically your brain produces radio signals, and a lot of those signals exist outside of your brain as well. But this one, they're like, this is as if humankind rippled across the world feeling this travesty. And part of me is like, okay, how can you explain something like that without assigning a gravity, a weight, pulling on that wavelength? That people were there and they were gone in an instant, gone in a moment.
Soul vacuum.
Exactly, right? And so I think like when you look at things like that, I believe that, yes, when you die, your soul leaves this earth. It's not stuck on this earth. But I do believe that there can be vacuous things that remain. Like, you can look at the other ones too, where the guy, I know a lot of people say this like scientific paper is debunked, but there was a scientist who tried to measure everyone when they died, like the difference between like being alive and moments after death and their body weight. And it says like the soul weighs 7 ounces, and like there's a lot of jokes around. I was like, well, no, that's just people farting,
Right.
and it's like, haha, yeah, but like he documented it pretty consistently, and it was like over 1,000 bodies, and it was sadly at a time when it was very easy to monitor people while they're dying,
Right.
because it was during, like, I think if I remember right, it was during like the height of tuberculosis. So there was no shortage of people that you could just go to and sit by them for 10 minutes before they died, and then walk down the hall to the next one. But I think all that said helps me frame things like this. Like, there are echoes of a soul. There are echoes of that energy. And if you don't believe that, I would then, question someone of like, well, then how can you believe like certain other things that aren't manifest, physical, that you can touch and put your hands on, that seem to have weight and affect the circumstances around it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like when someone's in the room with you, or like those things like or even like when something's in the bushes.
Yeah,
you just know.
When it's thrown in bushes.
There's something over there. Like, and like, what is that thing, right? And it's like, and like, no, not if something rustles in the bushes, yeah, but like just like, but sometimes you just know. Like, one time, it was actually at a summer camp for middle schoolers. I was a leader, and it was the night of, basically, it's the kind of a big night where lots of kids are asked to, follow Jesus, and they're sent out for like a time of silence, and just all the lights are off in camp, and kids are sitting out to be by themselves and just sit, and they've been presented the gospel and this free gift and relationship with Christ, and kids go out in the camp and they sit for 20 minutes of silence. And there's always incredible stories that come out of that, like of kids and maybe hearing God for the first time or certain things, but also at the same time, like this one night, this has happened. It's a 20 minutes of silence, and there's like just a lightning storm going off in the around the camp. Not in far enough, it's not dangerous. You need to call kids in. It's more of like an electrical storm up in the clouds. And like, I went and sat on the edge of camp, and I was looking off into the trees, and I just felt darkness out there. I could feel there was something out there that did not like what we were doing in this place. And after the 20 minutes is up, we walked back to our cabin, and a couple other of the guys, the leaders, like, we get them, they're like, hey, let's circle up for a second. And you can tell, like, everybody kind of wants, all the dudes want to circle up for a second before we went and saw the kids. And like, one guy was like, I had this feeling, man. Like, we were all in different places, but it was like, do you guys feel that? And it was like, I do feel that. It was like, we need to pray right now for this. Like, so we prayed for a while, but like, in this moment, whatever it was, like, and you could chalk it up to sleep deprivation with middle schoolers and a week of intense emotional highs and lows. But just, this wasn't our first rodeo at the 20 minutes of silence. We'd done this many times with kids. And just when we came in and we circled up, it was just like, the evil's out there. Like, you could feel it. And it was just like, and it was confirmed by like the way other people were feeling, and just this, we can't explain it. Can't explain it we can't reason it to somebody else, but it just was like something in us knew. And I think very similarly to, this thing we're talking about, which is, what is going on in our flesh and bones that's not our flesh and bones. There's more to it, and that thing in us that can sense or feel other things. And I think that, I do think that, to answer your question about ghosts, yeah, I believe people are seeing certain things. I don't know the the modern mythology or what it's come to be now, wandering soul or unfinished business here, different things, but not sure what that is. I do believe that part of that soul existing is, I think people are sometimes interacted with by maybe their ancestors or people they knew or certain things like, and that while that soul does leave this earthly realm, I don't think it leaves, this third rock from the sun and goes somewhere else as much as it passes into something else. And then now there are places or times where that veil is thin and things maybe it passes through on a visual side of things where we see stuff. And that's why there's really not any good video evidence of these things, because maybe cameras can see stuff that the human eye can't, but also like the amount of phones that are buzzing around this world right now, we definitely would have seen a Bigfoot by now, and we would have seen a demon or an angel or a ghost or something like obviously, in an obvious way, we'd be like, oh yeah, look at that, that's definitely that thing. But I just don't know that the camera can grab that thing necessarily as well.
Yeah, and I like. You gotta also ask yourself too, like if the adversary is cunning, and by the adversary I'm talking about Satan. If he's cunning and he wants people to not know God, I mean that's his ultimate like objective, right? I do think that it would not benefit Satan at all to be operating in a method, and other demons operating in a method in which they are visible. You know what I mean? Like, because if they were to do that, it would, if we had raw footage of a demon moving shadowily across someone's house and then possessing someone or something like that. I'm being rather facetious with this example. But then there'd be a lot of people who no longer have any doubt at all. They'd see that and they'd be like, huh. And don't get me wrong, there's always be doubters, but there are people who be saying like, okay, well if that's real, the other side of that coin probably is too, and I should probably start getting myself right. And so it doesn't gain Satan anything. And then on the other side too, it's like, well then why doesn't God just show and reveal himself on camera, or like with angels on camera? It's like, well because then you wouldn't need faith at all. There'd be no free will. There'd just be the like requirement of like accepting like, okay, well I now don't require to have faith in this thing because I've seen it recorded and sent out to millions of people on the internet, so therefore I should just believe in it. But you're not believing of it out of your own volition and free will. You're believing it because now there's no way to deny it and you must grapple with the consequences. So all that said, I think that to me is the quote unquote like Christianese spiritual reason why you like stuff like that isn't clearly caught on camera. And then maybe this other stuff that is more ghostly, more haunting. I think the reason it is because it's not of anyone's control. Like it is just, again, the vacuum of someone who's gone now. And whatever that vacuous presence is just kind of an echo, and there's no one manifesting or controlling that. There's no malicious entity controlling that. It's just like it just exists. Just kind of like have you ever heard of like a ball lightning? It's like ball lightning that we have captured a few things on record that might be truly no CGI, no editing of like videos and photos of ball lightning and it like just naturally existing. It follows no rhyme or reason of anything. It just simply exists. It doesn't behave like lightning. It doesn't behave like plasma. It just floats around, arcing, and then dissipates once it has run out of energy. And I kind of think that's exactly kind of like the way some of these remains of people who have probably suffered, and that vacuum exists because of a very traumatic event, right? And that's why it remains. That's why it's so powerful enough that like it can actually disrupt and unsettle people, or people might see things. So again, You know, that's me doing my best to explain like it in the lens of, you know, a biblical context. But I'm also, you know, I'm no ghost expert.
Ghost hunter.
Yeah. Which also like, what is that? Apparently the couple behind, all those movies, the Conjuring movies, those movies are based off of you know, the stories of an actual couple who did a lot of paranormal investigations. Apparently they were like really strong believers.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Which I'm like, a part of me's like, I kind of like would like to pick their brain on it. I think they always write it up to, though, that there's no actual, in all those instances, from what I've seen in like the movies and what I've heard of interviews with them, they've never been like, yeah, these are the ghosts of like people, as much as like these are like demons who have like, who possessed or convinced people to do awful things. Those people are in hell. like they died and went to hell. And this thing is still remaining here, waiting for like another person to like latch onto and, you know, pull away. And I was just like, damn, that's crazy. I don't even know if I want to begin to wrestle if I believe that's accurate or not. You know what I mean? Like, because that is some insanely frightful, consequential stuff if you already believe in that world.
Yep. Sometimes I'm always like, this is so bad. I'm like, can I be a watered down just enough Christian that I don't have to like see the demon? like that they're like, because like in the Screw Tape Letters, you know, C.S. Lewis version of it, was, to your point, what you were saying earlier, which is, you know, the whole thing that Screw Tape's doing is not letting the guy know he's there. You know, it's like if a 7-foot tall like thing walked in here with spiky evil crown on and a flaming sword, it'd be like, okay, Jesus, please,
I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Exactly. Like, I'm all in. It's like, can we just? It's like, do I want to get all the? Do I want to be? Do I want to see that stuff?
Do I want to be that kind of a threat?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I do sometimes. If I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
A little freaky.
Yeah.
But
I certainly believe it takes a certain type of individual to remain an exorcist. And I say that because I don't think it requires much for you to become an exorcist and like mind, body, will. It's like, yeah, casting out demons sounds sick. Performing exorcism sounds awesome. I guess it would, you know, provide me some pretty insane concrete stuff to my faith and validation. Then after that first time, though, and you stick around to keep doing it, that takes a unique person. Because
it's enemy's gloves off on you.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, so we in the ring now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all fair.
Yeah. That's the part that's like, oh man. Very careful with that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on the flip, and you really got to be careful opening yourself up to, you know, that like being pro demon.
Well, and this was something I was kind of waiting to say towards the end, and we're approaching the end, but apparently there's a lot of stuff that Chris Watts has talked about that him and his mistress were like into witchcraft stuff. Hence why he says like, felt like there's demons at my back, there's two shadowy figures the whole time, stuff like that, right? And I'm just like, damn, you know, I think this man's a monster, and he's my logic and reason tells me he's just trying to come up with an excuse to push blame off of himself for the horrible things he did, and blame it on the mistress, blame it on, you know, spiritual stuff, whatever. Anything to not take responsibility and accountability for the awful things he did. At the same time, I 100% believe that you open the door to that stuff and make yourself a receptive individual, you can 100% be manipulated into doing some awful things. There's actually a comedian who talked about how he used to be a Satanist and was part of the Church of Satanism.
Yeah, his name's
Shane something.
Yeah.
Can't remember. Not Shane Gillis, guys.
Yeah.
It's this other one.
Throat Tatted Shane.
Yeah, Throat Tatted Shane. But he's a Christian now. He's a very strong, devout believer.
That's of recent.
Yeah.
Like, that's the last like year and a half, maybe.
Maybe. I first saw him on Dry Bar Comedy, which is like a Mormon comedy club in Utah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's dry bar because they don't, you know, have any profanity or it's supposed to be moderately clean jokes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me wonders if like he was already stepping away from Satanism then. But I do know, he became a believer recently, and he is so serious about it that he won't even talk. He's like, I'm not saying the book I read and the things I did.
Yeah.
Because then people are going to be dumb enough to go out there and try to find this book and do those things. And it's bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
And he's like, so I'm just going to, I'll talk about things from like a scrubbed perspective, and I'll, kind of scrub out the details of specifics. But he talked about some pretty haunting stuff of how he started dabbling and stuff, and too many things were happening, and then some real stuff happened, and he's like, oh, okay, well, this is very real.
Yeah.
The adversaries are out there, and I don't want any part of it. So I respect him for going on and talking about that, and like talking about it in a way that was not using it to really or not validate, but like really be like something he's milking for money,
right?
But being like, well, like I don't want to talk about it any more than I have to just like tell the story of
just
I wasn't
warn
saying
you.
this.
Yeah, it's like
that was pretty bad. I became a Christian.
Yeah,
Fill in the blanks.
Like trying to not bring that curiosity into it.
Yeah,
like I have curiosity around it. Just
me too.
But like
I had a couple of friends when I was in high school. They're like agnostic atheists. And they're like, let's get a Ouija board and go to a hotel for the weekend and like use the Ouija board. And I was like, look, guys, I'm gonna be real with you. I am fully convinced that I am saved. I'm fully convinced that there's nothing else that could possess this body, and the Holy Spirit dwells in it. I will go with you purely for the sake of praying for you in that room. But like, I'm not the one who's gonna get messed up.
Right.
You guys haven't accepted the Holy Spirit, so you're an empty vessel waiting to receive something, and that something's going to be coming out. And they're like, "Yeah, no, come on, man, this could be," They're like joking about it. I'm like, dude, I'm game. If you really are going to do this, please let me know so I could be there, because I don't want you to do it without me, because I'm afraid for you. I'm concerned. And I think that was enough to scare him out of it, dude. Because we never ended up doing anything. I know those dudes never went and did it,
right?
But like,
they were kind of like, they didn't see it as a serious thing. And once you brought it,
I think they saw it as a way of disproving people.
Right. Just
faith.
being, this is goofy. Let's go mess around. But then when you're like so serious about like, guys, no, they're like, wait, what? I don't think that's good. Okay. It's not a good idea.
Yeah. It's like one of those things of like, let's see how far out we can swim. And I'm like, there's things out there in the water, and I have a life. It's not even a life vest. Like, I'll go with you, but I'll be in the boat.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this is a one-man boat. And I'm going to be praying that you guys get some boats miraculously. But
yeah, dude, you got to be careful with that stuff.
Yeah.
And even there's something too about like, even whether those supernatural things are real or not, the fact that you're compromising yourself to them is evil.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, it's just like going down those lines, seeking out those things. That is because we want to like when we talk about things like evil, you want it to be
gray,
or you want it to be like,
I guess it depends who's you. Who's you?
Meaning, if you're talking about these super evil things, you're thinking this is Exorcist, or the Exorcist of Emily Rose, like your head upside down, crawling up the walls, vomiting, like, evil. This is clearly evil. This is wild. But no, like, evil's actually like a lot more sugar coated. It's a lot less hard to spot. Like when I was growing up as a kid, I always thought, you watch movies, you're like, when I grow up, I'm gonna know exactly who the bad guy is, because the bad guy in the movies, it's obvious. It's that orc, or it's like, the evil guy, mad scientist who's about to shoot the death ray at and kill all these people. Well, guess what? There's not that many like orcs and death ray guys walking around, but there is plenty of evil in this world still, and it's just kind of, it's harder to spot sometimes.
Dude, to that point, look at Chris Watts. Dude did not look like he was capable of that evil.
Looks like a normal family man. Looks like he'd go to our church.
Looks like binging with Babish.
Yeah.
Which that guy does not look evil to me. You know what I mean? Like, and it's pretty, and I think that's the one thing I learned too, like from time in law enforcement, is like most evilest dudes in the jail were not the dudes who looked evil.
They probably, you probably could have a conversation with them and you'd kind of laugh and tell a story.
I think
Like-
I truly believe no one has any comprehension of like the most wicked, awful dude that I can think of in there was a dude who like did some really awful, like he raped a lot of kids.
Mm-hmm.
He's the dude I told you about who fled to the Middle East and had like an insane extradition, and so
Oh,
his
yeah.
bond was massively high.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that dude is the most evil person I've ever been in the same room as.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it just looks like he could have been any professor at any college.
Could have had a nice conversation with him at the bar, like a drinking buddy, right? Like, but like,
I
not,
had,
you know what I mean?
I had several
Yeah.
nice conversations with him,
Yeah.
and that of like, you know, having to just like check and make sure he was breathing.
Mm-hmm.
A very civil person,
Uh-huh.
incredibly evil, incredibly disgusting.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rotten to the core, rancid, and you would never know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
Yeah.
it's October,
Yeah.
Halloween, it's spooky season,
Uh-huh.
and I think that's pretty spooky. I think that might be the spookiest episode yet. I'm unsettled, bro.
Me
Well, I'm
too.
not really, because anytime we talk about spiritual stuff, I really don't get unsettled. I get really comfortable and
Now I gotta drive
leveled.
home in the dark.
yeah. You ever hear that scary stories when you were a kid about like the girl driving home and the guy behind her keeps on flashing his brights?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that one's a
yeah.
good one.
Oh yeah.
That
That's a
one
great
always
one.
sticks with me.
Oh yeah.
I always check the back seat still,
I
dude.
know,
To this day, I've always, ever since that story, I read it as a kid, I always look at the back seat of the car before I get in. Because I'm just like, I just want to make sure no one down there on the floorboards.
There's a couple of those campfire stories I need to like I remember the premise of it. I gotta go revisit because it's about time to bust some of those
Oh
out.
no, your boys will be
Oh,
so
yeah.
messed. No, dude,
I mean, about time. I'm like 5 years out.
they messed me up in like fourth
I
grade.
know.
Like sleepless, crying under my blanket,
I
biting
know.
my pillow.
Yeah.
It's like I hear the chain link fence rattling. I'm gonna die.
Oh yeah.
You know. Anyways, thanks for joining us, kid. We appreciate you. We hope you enjoyed this. Definitely go check out Bob and his YouTube channel. Like I said, he's got really well done entertaining videos, but grounded, not entertainment for the sake of, you know, capitalizing on, you know, the unfortunate experiences of others and the deaths of others, but actually like entertaining analysis and logical reasoning as he's going over them. I find him enjoyable. So shout out to him. Hope he doesn't mind us analyzing his video and reacting to it, but I just thought it'd be a good one for you, Pat. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Pat, you got anything?
Till next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.